The COVID-19 pandemic was a nightmare that shook the world, killing more than 7 million people worldwide. It was caused by a pathogen that passed from animals to humans, something that could happen again at any time.
If a pathogen kills a chimpanzee in the jungle, it's sure to be dangerous for us too.
But we're not helplessly at the mercy of new diseases. Researchers around the world are on the lookout for viruses that could become dangerous to humans. Today's visitors at Klaus Hoffmann's chicken coop are a first. A vet and his assistant from the University of Greifswald, bringing a portable laboratory. Klaus Hoffmann would never have thought that his animals would be so important for global research into new diseases. The scientists want to study Hoffmann's very special breed of chickens in detail.
We specifically chose Swedish flower hens because we are fans of Sweden. We love going on vacation to Sweden. The Swedish flower hen is a breed that was almost extinct at the beginning of the 1970s. I think there were only 3 farms left with around 400 animals, and that's where today's population came from.
The scientists pick a random subset of Hoffmann's 40 chickens to study. These checks are part of a large health study launched 3 years ago. It has so far examined more than 10,000 people and the animals they keep. In addition to his chickens, Klaus Hoffmann also has a dog. He and his animals live together in close contact.
The animals will sometimes jump on your shoulder and essentially cuddle. They're very social animals. They're not aggressive, and that's what we like about them.
There's excitement in the hen house.
Great. That's the first one. Blondie. Put this on her leg.
Blondie is one of the hens chosen to get a full health checkup. The vet will measure her temperature and a viral load along with her height and weight. Klaus Hoffmann was past 50 when he moved from the city to the countryside so that he could keep animals.
Do you know about how old she is?
Blondie is about a year old now. She hatched from her egg last year.
Okay.
The hobby farmer sells the top-quality eggs laid by his free-range hens.
What breed is Blondie?
A Swedish flower hen.
And you use the hens to produce eggs, right?
Exactly.
Normally, eating eggs is not at all dangerous for humans. But when chickens get sick, it's wise to be cautious.
You're confused, Blondie, eh? What's she doing to you?
Chickens can also transmit some pathogens that can affect humans, so-called zoonotic pathogens. I'd say the best known of those is Salmonella, which can cause diarrhea if you eat raw eggs. That one's well known. But of course there are also other pathogens that pass from chickens to humans.
Like Campylobacter pathogens, for example, which, like Salmonella, cause nausea, fever, and abdominal cramps. Chickens can also contract bird flu and other more harmless ailments.
There's the common cold too, of course. But everything is fine here.
Blondie's healthy.
As you know, there are lots of cases of bird flu up here. Last year, even over the summer months. It usually starts in November.
The current study goes by the name One Health. Its aim is to better understand the connections between all areas of life, humans, animals, and the environment. Knowing these interconnections is a prerequisite for containing diseases such as COVID-19, preventing them from becoming a pandemic. Pathogens that are transmitted from animals to humans are found all over the world. Many dangerous ones still lurk in jungles. Léonce Quadio is conducting research in West Africa aimed at discovering viruses found in the rainforest and how some of them make their way into civilization. He and his colleagues are tasked with detecting animal diseases, known as zoonoses, at an early stage and thus preventing larger outbreaks. People and wild animals live in very close contact here.
With a swarm of pug bats, you first notice the smell. They have a distinctive smell. You can smell the presence of the bats, then you realize that you can also hear them.
Sub-Saharan Africa is becoming more and more crowded. Ever more people are in need of space and food. This rapid population growth, along with climate change, is causing increased destruction of wildlife habitats. As a result, biodiversity is also declining, which in turn increases the risk of zoonoses.
I'm currently working on the large family of coronaviruses. I focused on them from the very beginning and analyzed them in the lab. I'm also working on the family of filoviruses, which includes the Ebola virus.
The biologist is using nets to catch bats, to then analyze their viral load.
We've determined the sex. It's a female.
The team often works at night, a time when these nocturnal animals are most active. It's conducting its research in the last large rainforest in West Africa. The research provides the team with an overview of viruses circulating in the area, ones that are repeatedly brought to humans by mosquitoes or bats.
Bats come to live with humans. They eat insects. They wait until the lamps are lit in the evening. Then they come out. This has an advantage. They eat mosquitoes. That's why there are few mosquitoes when they're around. But there are also disadvantages. They can transmit diseases. So there are good and bad sides.
There have been many dangerous viruses that have spread from animals to humans in the past. The Spanish flu that struck the world in the 1920s killed around 50 million people. Wild birds were involved in the spread. Ebola struck in the mid-1970s. It's carried by bats and monkeys. AIDS was identified in 1981. Chimpanzees played a role in spreading the virus, which has killed more than 40 million people to date. Bird flu outbreaks have been occurring more frequently since 1997. It's especially dangerous for poultry, but it can infect humans too. It could become the next pandemic. And finally, COVID-19, which is highly likely to have spread to humans from bats. Researchers are finding new pathogens in the jungle all the time. Some of them could become dangerous if they make their way to humans because of deforestation, for example.
This is the center of life. It's not to be found in villages or cities. The center of life is right here, the heart of the virus world. If we want to prevent pandemics, we must conduct research here to find out which viruses are circulating right here.
Léonce Quadio works closely with a German expert, Fabian Leendertz, from the Helmholtz Institute in Greifswald.
About the One Health workshop in Abidjan.
Leendertz has been to Africa many times. The veterinarian and professor is a world leader in the search for new dangerous pathogens. He was a member of the International Commission researching the origin of the coronavirus on behalf of the World Health Organization. He's the founding director of the Helmholtz Institute for One Health in Greifswald. His research aims to discover the connections between humans, animals, and the environment.
I become interested when I see a problem, a sick or dead animal or person. Then I ask, what's behind this? Why is it sick? Why did this happen? And what can I do to prevent the illness, so that we avoid having the problem in the first place, to be ahead of the outbreak?
If you want to stay ahead of the outbreak, you need to know which pathogens are currently on the move, and how healthy the animal and plant world is. Any given pathogen is less likely to prevail in a diverse natural environment. Maintaining biodiversity, the diversity of species, is therefore an important part of preventing pandemics. The One Health expert spends most of his time at the university, but sometimes he does go outside, like today when he's on a field trip with his own children and those of his neighbors.
So, you're our guinea pigs now. We're going to see if we can do this with these flies. Otherwise, I'll do it in Africa, in some jungle.
The professor, who received an award from the UN, also wants to get young people interested in science.
Let's see if we can use them to do a bit of science.
Today's task is to get an overview of the biodiversity in the area by catching flies. There are many monocultures here, created by conventional agriculture, but there is an untouched field behind them.
See the biodiversity changing.
That's the team's destination. The more biodiversity it finds on the field, the lower the risk of zoonoses. The team will perform the research using fly traps handmade by the Leendertz family.
These are very simple nets we sewed together ourselves.
Dangerous pathogens can't get out of hand as easily on natural fields. Fungi, viruses, or bacteria have less chance of gaining a foothold in a diverse natural environment. The flies the team hopes to catch will collect the environment's genetic material.
And then we put something underneath that the fly finds delicious. This is a piece of liver. We'll put that under here. And when the flies are inside, we'll take all of this back to the lab to see what kind of poop or what kind of dead mouse they were sitting on.
It's a simple principle. Flies are like flying swabs, whether it's part of a flower or a dung heap. Their hairy legs pick up small traces of everything. If you analyze flies, you find out which species live here and which species do not. It's estimated that there are around 8 million animal and plant species and that more than 1 million are facing extinction. Fish, insects, amphibians, and birds are especially endangered. Climate change and intensive farming are causing major damage to the animal and plant world, threatening the balance of nature.
Yeah.
These flies are very shy little animals. We'll have to wait here for a while and leave them alone.
The chicken liver attracts the desired insect visitors after just a few minutes.
Yes, it looks good, doesn't it? There's one there, even a fat one. That one got out, she got lucky. Let's sit down. Put it down here, and I'll start up here. Very good.
Flies flee upwards and are caught in laboratory tubes.
Now we have the flies. Can you see the fat one? That's great. These are exactly the ones we want. And plop! Now he's fallen in. And he has a very small drop of alcohol. There they are, our friends. They've now fallen asleep peacefully, had a little bit too much to drink.
The lab analysis will later provide evidence that the field is home to a diverse natural environment featuring badgers, skylarks, and sand lizards. The University of Greifswald, where Leendertz teaches, is something like the center of One Health research in Germany. Veterinarian Suzanne Muschantat, who is examining pets for the health study, and Henry Fulzke, who is leading the large study in the area, also want to detect zoonoses as early as possible. Klaus Hoffmann has dropped by the institute. This time researchers want to check on his health.
Mr. Hoffmann, thanks for coming. It's important that those people we randomly select to come here for a health check actually do show up. You also have pets?
I do. Among other things, we have chickens, around 40 of them. Swedish flower hens. We have a dog and we also have bees.
How many colonies?
10.
10 colonies. That's quite a few. How many years have you had them?
I'm still a beginner. 3 years.
3 years.
This beginner beekeeper is in his mid-50s. Research assistant Katja Schulz will collect comprehensive health data from Klaus Hoffmann, which will then be compared with the health of his animals.
Now the left hand. Ready, go. 1, 2, 3. 51.8.
A grip test. How hard can he squeeze? The grip strength provides information about how fit Klaus Hoffmann is.
In our region, we have the advantage of living in a rather rural area where animal husbandry is quite common. We know from previous studies that almost 50%, that is almost half of all adults here in northeast Germany, keep animals, either at home or on the farm, in the countryside or in a stable.
Ultrasound exams, fitness tests, and blood work. How healthy are the inhabitants of the region? Sometimes people carry problematic pathogens that have been transmitted from animals without showing any symptoms of illness. These tests will reveal if that's the case.
This is the most comprehensive population study ever performed. The extensive animal studies will make it even more comprehensive. I'm not aware of any comparable study worldwide.
Klaus Hoffmann's examination takes several hours. He has to come back in 5 years for another checkup. Among other things, his data will then be correlated with the health development of his chickens. The research should help to better understand the development of zoonoses.
We'll need the second one to pull them up and down again. We still have to think about a good anchor. It's not fun to tie something down on the jungle floor.
A large stone?
There are no stones. Chimpanzees fight over them. There are very few stones. They need them to crack their nuts. Stones are sacred in the forest. Don't touch a stone.
Okay.
The botanical garden at Greifswald University has this greenhouse featuring a piece of jungle and a test field meant to help prep for research in Africa.
I love it. It's beautiful. There are great plants. It reminds me a bit of the real rainforest.
And its different temperature zones. It's warmer at the top than at the bottom, and climate change is causing the temperature to rise even further. How does climate change in the forest influence the development of new viruses? That's what Fabian Leendertz and his colleague Philipp Lehmann want to find out. Today's task is to hang up small digital temperature gauges to run some tests.
Before we start in-depth research, we need to know that all the data we collect there is actually collected optimally. That's why we're carrying out preliminary tests here, to see whether our small gauges really work optimally, from ground level all the way to the top of the trees.
The gauges are slated to provide data from the tropics for 10 years, from untouched rainforests and replanted forests, as well as from places where people live. The researchers want to know which insects and rodents known to be carriers of dangerous viruses can be found at which levels of the forest, and how this is influenced by climate change. 3/4 of all new infectious diseases are of animal origin, including Ebola, AIDS, and COVID-19.
We don't really understand how the climate influences the composition of animals and species, and what that means for health risks for humans and animals, for example. In other words, we need this data to see what adjustments we can make to improve things and reduce risks.
The researchers insert special sword-like gauges into the ground to measure soil moisture. These preliminary tests in Greifswald will continue for another 2 months. The temperature and humidity gauges will then be sent to the Thai rainforest in West Africa. Leonce Quadio is conducting research in the jungle there. Ape habitat in the area is under threat, from hunting and logging, for example. The loss is stressful for the animals, and stress leads to disease.
The monkeys harbour a reservoir of viruses that allows us to predict epidemics. If we find out what pathogenic bacteria and viruses the monkeys are carrying, we then have the opportunity to find out which problematic pathogens are circulating. We can then take precautions to prevent an outbreak of Ebola or coronaviruses or other pathogens circulating in the region.
Such precautions include vaccinations or quarantine measures. The biologist collects samples of monkey excrement to examine whether it contains bacteria and viruses that are dangerous to humans.
Are we finding pathogens? Are they transmissible to humans and perhaps dangerous for humans? Is the presence of humans dangerous for animals? It's important to pursue these 2 angles, one focused on apes, one on humans, because we can also transmit diseases to the apes.
Healthy life on Earth requires diversity, and this diversity must be in balance. This applies to all living creatures, from the largest mammals to the world of viruses.
You have to let nature regulate itself. You can't destroy nature just to solve some problem. We are part of a chain, and if you break this chain, everyone suffers. The best thing is to keep everything in balance. It's a cycle. We have to leave the forest alone, protect it, and take care of it. That's important.
Members of Leonce's team regularly visit residents in the area to spread this message. It's imperative dangerous pathogens from the jungle not be allowed to reach humans, a goal that can only be achieved with the help of the local population.
Every year, every month, we visit the villages around the Thai rainforest, and we inform the population about the dangers of the forest. Tonight, we're talking about zoonoses.
Here's what will help prevent a new pandemic: reducing contact between humans and wild animals, not eating meat from unknown wild animals, engaging in good hygiene, such as washing hands in boiling water, protecting against mosquito bites, as mosquitoes can transmit diseases, and preserving the rainforest. The more jungle that people cut down, the faster dangerous pathogens can spread around the globe. But the locals must also be able to afford to leave the rainforest alone. This is only possible if there are other ways for them to earn money. Zoonoses do not only occur in Africa, but also on our doorstep in Germany. Klaus Hoffmann's dog Tonka is due for a checkup. What diseases does she have that her owner might also have? For example, dogs that suffer from periodontitis, a bacterial dental disease, often also have owners with the same disease, as humans and dogs exchange bacteria with each other.
The gum has this very small reddish border.
But the transmission of pathogens between humans and animals are often not detected.
An animal that goes to the vet will certainly be examined very well when getting a checkup or a vaccination. But of course, the human and the animal's environment are not really recorded because you don't necessarily have the opportunity. And now we can capture this scientifically to see how animals live together with humans and vice versa. How do humans live with their animals? We always have to look at both directions.
The more we know about which pathogens are in circulation and how they are transmitted, the better we can succeed in preventing dangerous new pandemics.